Welcome to the Life's Best Medicine podcast, where we are finding hope and healing one episode at a time. No appointment needed, no rubber gloves, and no coping. Just a healthy dose of life lessons to help equip you for this wild journey we call life. Hey everyone, this is a friendly reminder that we are here for entertainment purposes only. We may not even be that entertaining at times, but this is not medical advice. Talk to your doctor, check with your healthcare professionals before making any lifestyle changes or medicine changes. What we're talking about is our clinical experience and what we've seen. And so if you really want our advice, you can consult us. You can actually consult me as a doctor, or you can consult my guest and get all your questions answered. But we can't give free medical advice because we can't pay our bills with that, but we can help to educate you a bit and allow you to think a little bit, and always reach out to your medical professional before making any lifestyle changes. Thank you. Hey, everyone. I just wanted to thank my sponsors for bringing this podcast to you. It's October already, everyone, believe it or not. So we need to pull out all the stops. This is the dangerous time of year. This is the time of year when we all struggle, and we're going to more parties and there's desserts out and everything. So plan ahead, gethealth.com, health code. There's tons of recipes. As a matter of fact, I was surprised. I made a couple of them this weekend. There's some pumpkin spice. There's some pumpkin pudding you can make with all kinds of good stuff like chia. There's a ton of recipes there. So use that to help you get through. If you're going to people's house for a party or something like that, just bring some health code. You can make bars. There's tons of recipes. I was actually surprised by how many there are. There's lemon, there's all kinds of different stuff you can make, and they do a good job of educating. And also, while you're there, take a look at the blog. They have tons of great information. There's Dr. Bickman just gave a little blurb on creatine and how it's helpful. So there's a ton of great free tips there. So go to gethealth, GETHLTH.com to get educated and to, find some treats and things that you're going to like over the holidays. And also, while you're at it, my other big sponsor here is Keto Mojo. They're doing great stuff, tons of great education. You're going to hear a lot more about the GKI, the glucose ketone index, trying to keep that as low as possible, and just keeping yourself in good health. And so during the holidays, especially, it's really important to check those ketones and check your sugar levels and make sure you're staying on track. And then also you're going to see a lot of stuff that says keto. And I will bet you when you see it in the store or at Costco and it says keto, it's going to throw you out of ketosis and make your sugars go high. So Keto Mojo is the lie detector test. They really help us to determine what products are good and not good. So go out and support these two great companies. They're great people. I personally like them, and they're bringing these stories to you. I couldn't afford to do this on my own, so it's good having good friends, and so please support them. And we have November and December, and this year is over. So thank you for listening. Thank you for support. Have a great day. Hello and welcome back to the Life's Best Medicine podcast. I'm super excited to have a new addition to my practice here that I can introduce everyone to. And she's been with me for a while. She's rotated with me a few times. Leah Glascox, Koskinen previously, now married.
Koskinen. Yeah.
So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and to chat about everything.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. It's so good. And so tell people about your journey, about what drew you to go into. First of all, let's start. What is a physician's assistant or a PA for people who don't know?
Yeah. So a PA or physician assistant is someone who has had a bachelor's degree, and then we go on to get a master's degree in medicine. So it's not a med school degree, it's a physician assistant degree. So it's 2 years instead of 4 years. So we work under a doctor. And so in my position, I work under Dr. Lenzkes, but I can see my own patients. I can prescribe, diagnose, treat. We can talk through alternative modalities. We can see each other however often. I can handle your primary care needs, your acute needs, anything under what Dr. Lenzkes is also comfortable with as well. So we have a lot of autonomy, but it's also super nice to work together with a team and be alongside Dr. Lenzkes.
Yeah, so it's great to have you, because it really, there's a lot of people who go, look, I don't want my primary doc, doing pap smears on me or whatever, a lot of women's issues. And so it's great to have someone like you who can come along and say, okay, I can fill that need, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the things is that you've had this interest in metabolic health
Mm-hmm.
and have been really sharp at learning everything. And I just wanted people to know that that's kind of your background, that we're like-minded and we're
Yeah.
a team and that we work together, you know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the key things that drew me into the practice is just seeing how different and effective this type of communication between patients and education, and how enthusiastic patients are about learning this about metabolic health and things like that. So I'm excited to dive more into it and to establish some of my own patients and follow them and see their stories. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's hard. In my old practice, I worked with I really fought to have a nurse practitioner or a PA join me there
Mm-hmm.
because, there's a huge shortage of docs in the world right now. And as we
Mm-hmm.
see, I've been pretty dang busy here in the practice. So having you to, answer calls when I'm seeing patients all day, or,
Right.
when you're seeing patients, I can answer the calls, and just to kind of be able to be like-minded and
Yeah.
to have that team where we can kind of say, hey, how do you think this is the best handled? And I can
Yeah.
get ideas from you and you get ideas from me, and then we kind of, help the patients the best we can.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That collaboration. I've always been team orientated. Like when I grew up, I rode horses on a team, I did volleyball on a team. So this was like so natural to me to become a physician assistant because of the team, and even having Mary alongside, and she's so educated on supplements and diet and things like that. And so, and then like your expertise with diabetes and metabolic health and hypertension and just different mindsets to all come together, and we all have the same mindset of what is going to help this patient the best and how we can get them feeling optimal and not just getting by throughout the day,
Yeah,
if
and
that's
that's a hard
possible.
thing, like in training, because you're just taught, here's the drug for this, here's the drug for that.
Yeah.
And we forget about the patient, that it's like, let's
Yeah.
sit and talk to the patient and see what's going on. Like, so we've seen some amazing things together.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about clinical year when I would do clinicals and I would be in different family medicine practices or internal medicine and pediatrics, and there would be no discussion on, preventative lifestyle, how's your diet, how's stress. That was never thought of as something to check off a box. And so it was just never brought up. And I feel like that was a definite lack that I wanted to sit down and be like, like, are you okay? Are you sleeping at night? Are you feeling supported? All these things that you kind of just miss out on if you have 10 minutes with a patient, things like that. So I think it's really important to kind of sit back and see what is actually driving the patient to feel the way they are, because there can be from so many different aspects of their life, not just, I strained my knee, but where is that actually coming from? Sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, last night I was at a meeting and I talked to a pain specialist, and he was like, I was talking to him about sleep and stress and diet and how that affects pain levels. And
Yeah.
he was like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I never thought about that before, and
Yeah.
chronic
Yeah.
inflammation is a huge problem, and chronic stress makes pain worse. And all these things we have scientific data on. If people aren't sleeping, they get
Yeah.
more stressed. When they get more stress, they get more TMJ and stomach problems and headaches and all these other
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, like you're saying, we have to dive down to that root cause of what's going on. Oh, you're going through a
Yeah.
divorce. Okay, let's
Right.
let's
Right.
let's see if we can, do counseling. What can we do to help you?
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's so cool that we have so many different testings that we can do, like insulin that's not looked at a lot, cortisol levels, hormones, different things that we can dive into and see where actually the root problem is coming from. And so that's really cool, and something that I've learned just from being in your practice and seeing what is out there other than the very, very minimal lab panels that are sometimes ordered for patients.
Yeah, and this was great to have you along too, because you're more hormone focused too. And I'm telling you, I had some hormone specialists that we've been seeing patients together that we've had mutual patients, and
Yeah.
so many middle-aged females have been telling me that it was really the hormones that really helped them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to get them
Mm-hmm.
mood wise. I've had people that were bedbound. They should, one of my
Yeah.
patients said I couldn't get up, and I'm like, was it the low carb stuff or was it the? She goes, no. Once I got on the hormones, and I think they go hand in hand though. I think once we get the
Yeah.
metabolic health right, then we can
Mm-hmm.
start worrying about hormones and all that kind of stuff.
Right, right. Yeah, it is so interesting to see the connection to everything because of how hormones are made and how it affects the adrenal gland, and then how the adrenal gland is affected by stress and all of that. So, yeah, it's been really great to dive into the hormone side of things.
Yeah, and seeing how stress affects the hormones, right? Because if you're stressed, intense,
Yeah,
and worried all the time, but then also if your hormones are out of whack, you're stressed, intense, and worried. So it's one of those things saying, okay, well,
yeah,
how do we fix this problem? How do we get to the root cause and make it so you don't have to be on 30 drugs? It's
yeah.
incredible. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to Hal Cranmer, who runs some assisted livings
Uh-huh,
facilities. And I
uh-huh.
said, yeah, a lot of people are on 10 or 15. He goes, my patients, when they come here, are on 15, 20, 30 drugs.
Oh
And you
my
go,
gosh.
man, there were seniors and there's interactions and all this because everyone's
Yeah,
afraid to take drugs away and they just keep throwing them on,
yeah.
and it's such
Right,
the
right.
mindset of medicine is so, as long as I put you on meds, I'm doing my job as a doctor.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and I remember one patient that I saw during, again, when I was in rotations. And this office was set up where we would go in and talk to the patient and kind of get the rundown of what's going on, physical exam, that kind of thing, come back and talk to our preceptor, and then we would both go in together. And I just felt like this girl had some underlying issues. She was very timid, very quiet, thin, just did not have a very good just self-esteem about herself, and she didn't like to talk about what she liked to do and her family and all this stuff, but she was just written off almost as a typical teenager that was moody, and we offered birth control because that's what the doctor wanted her to be on. And at the end I was like, I can't let this girl just like think that this is normal for her and say that this is only fixed by drugs and birth control, because mood and stress and family stress is like such a huge thing. And so I talked to her more and kind of just eased some more questions out of her and answers, and then she ended up telling me a lot about her family life and how it was just unsteady at the time, and she became emotional, and we talked about how maybe some counseling or therapy would help. And I think it was just something that she wasn't expecting at that time, to have somebody ask her those questions, besides just, oh, you feel down, you feel sad, like, let me, your periods are off, like, let me just put you on this medication, that's completely normal, don't worry. So it was just interesting to see how she was eager to open up once you kind of were like, I understand what you're going through, like, this isn't normal, let me help you. So that was a really cool experience that kind of shifted my mindset when I was in school to just think differently about how to approach a patient.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And we're at an advantage doing direct primary care because we have that time to spend with the patient. Because
Yeah,
in eight
yeah,
minutes, you can't address all the issues and talk about what happened, what's going on relationship wise
yeah,
and stress wise and all those things. And that's something
yeah.
that has really impressed me. As a matter of fact, that, just watching you, that's why I wanted you to join my practice when you were done with training, because it's, you can't train compassion and kindness and caring about people. Like you could be
Mm-hmm.
really smart and not care, and you're not
Yeah,
helping people. I mean, you might say, okay, here's the best drug for you to be on, but not
yeah,
really connecting on a human level. And I think that's the
right,
advantage that maybe we
right.
both have.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that was like one of the things that drew me at the same way, vice versa, just because of the relational aspect. Everybody's like on first name basis, like, oh, how are you today? Like, how's your family? How's your dog? Things like that, that even if you go to a different practice and you've been there 15 times, you're either seeing a different provider each one of those 15 times that don't know you, or, introducing yourself all over again. So it's really cool to see people excited to come. I had a patient yesterday, and it was like the first time I was seeing her, and she was like, "I'm so excited to be here." And I was like, you never hear that coming to an office. You never hear someone like, "I'm so excited to go to my doctor's."
I know it's like I'm not excited to go to the dentist. I'm never excited, but I like my dentist. But it's one of
Yeah.
those things. But I think what they see, they come in and they have Mary at the front desk, and Mary is so great. And
Yeah.
like you brought up earlier, I'm always consulting Mary because Mary has a lot of life experience with different supplements and all these
Yeah.
kind of things to help gut health. Oh, I know exactly what you need to do with this one.
Right,
So
right,
it's
right.
great to have people who just dove in and looked at the research and understand people and really
Yeah.
just care about people when they come in. Because the thing is, when I first started in medicine, I remember this old doc who was one of my old partners. I was watching him with patients. I'm like, he's not doing anything. Like he's just talking to the guy. I go, you didn't do anything. And when he comes out, he says, look, his depression's better. This is better. So he's
Mm,
observing everything just in conversation. And several times I've had Mary come up to me and go, ooh, something's off with him today. Something,
mm,
yeah, maybe you want to talk and see how life is. And like
mhm.
those kind of things because she
Yeah.
knows the people and she knows how they
Yeah.
act. And when somebody goes, something's not right, or they're doing really great, they feel good.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have someone who's invested that cares
Yeah.
about the patient. I'll tell you, I noticed that in medicine, the thing that, and you haven't been around as long as I have, fortunately for you, but I remember I'm like, this is like a conveyor belt. Like the people at the
Mm,
front desk were like, okay, go sit down. We'll call you
mhm,
when you're
mhm.
ready. Here's your number. Like there was
Right,
no like,
right.
hey, good to see you. Thanks for coming
Yeah.
in. Like if
Yeah.
I go out to a restaurant and the waiter's really friendly, or the chef comes out to say hi
Yeah.
and they're sitting down like real humans talking to you, it's like, wow, that
Right.
makes a difference than getting up and leaving and no one ever, like you just pay your
Yeah.
bill and leave type thing. There's no connection or thanks for coming in. We appreciate
Yeah.
your business. Like
Yeah.
we've lost that in medicine. I've seen that, and people listening will know what I'm saying is like you get into this
Mhm,
huge waiting room with 50 people and they're like,
mhm,
okay, Mr. Smith or number
mhm.
326, your turn, get back. And people get
Right,
lost in the
right.
shuffle. Like there's so many people that they don't even know you're there.
Yeah, yeah.
You
No,
get
I know.
forgotten.
Yeah, I'm surprised we're not taking a ticket, when you go into the the Secretary of State or DMV.
Yeah, it's
But
like you're at the deli, Okay, number
yeah, right, right.
26.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's a role of accountability to that too, just with patients. Like we know them and they know us. So if they are, it just I feel like it holds both parties accountable for staying connected with them and staying up on research and reaching out to them if we haven't heard from them, or them saying, hey, like I didn't feel supported in this time, and okay, how can we like better that? And because we're all human and we all have busy days, we all get behind some days, but I think like just having that connection with patients just kind of bleeds into a relationship that kind of holds a different standard in medicine.
Yeah, and that's what I've noticed is, I have a patient I just saw yesterday. I go, why do you keep coming here? Like you get this, you're doing great, you understand everything.
Yeah.
She was like, I need the accountability. I love to come
Yeah.
see Mary. I love coming in.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna keep coming. I'm like, okay, that's good for me. I'm good with that. But it's
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing that once we get people and the upfront investment of getting people healthier, and then they're like, it's
Mm.
a social visit now. We come and see
Yeah.
how's life, how are you doing? I feel great. My
Right, right,
knees don't hurt anymore and all that.
right,
Like
right.
that's why I was so glad when you got to be part of it and see it because I once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you go to a different clinic and you're like, oh my gosh, what are they doing?
Yeah,
But that's the
yeah,
standard of care.
yeah, right. It is really hard. And that was something that I had to learn just because of when I rotated through your office and then rotated through other offices. And not that they were doing anything wrong. It was just like I felt like I wanted more for my patients and to learn more too. I still had so many questions about how all of this works. And because we're not taught a lot of this in school, we're taught, the bare bones, and then it's up to us to kind of advance that to however we see fit. So I think it was so cool. And it's just like, it's so nice to have someone like you as a mentor that has so much experience and knowledge and has done research behind all this, because if I have a question, I know exactly, like I'm going to get the answer. I'm going to get a well-educated answer and it's going to help a patient. And so it's, going back to that team aspect, it's so nice. And I'm like super grateful.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing. I remember when I first started, at my old practice, my PA patients refused to see her. Like they
Mm,
just wouldn't. I'm not seeing
mm,
the PA. I want to see the doctor. But it's like,
mm,
you have a sore throat or a cough or a headache and all this stuff. We all know we've all dealt with this stuff a lot of times. So
mm,
it's hard because I felt like I was working 18-hour days all the time. And
mm.
a lot of the stuff was like you really didn't need me to really like schedule in an extra 8 patients that day.
Yeah.
So, when you start realizing that we work together as a team, and I think people it's a
Hmm.
hard sell for people initially because they're like,
Hmm.
no, I don't want to see the PA. I want to see the
Sure.
doctor. And then once they get to know you, then once they got to know her, like they're like, okay, I'll see her. I don't need to deal with
Yeah.
Brian. Maybe every fifth visit I'll see him. And then, just
Yeah.
it's just really the patient preference. And it's really true. Sometimes we
Hmm.
have a different approach, different personality, and or
Hmm.
a different set of eyes go, oh, Brian, did you notice this, that she said this about her marriage or whatever, things that
Hmm.
sometimes we may not be tuned into. So having two sets of eyes is
Yeah.
good. And also I think with people doing metabolic health or it's just
Yeah.
helpful to have different opinions, saying, oh, why don't we try this? What we're doing is not working. Let's try shifting this gear here and see what
Hmm.
happens. Right. And
Hmm.
or shifting here and then working as a team. And so I think people just don't understand how much we collaborate on patients.
Right.
You know,
Right.
if they're seeing you, I
Yeah.
could pop in and say hi and just check and make sure everything's okay, that we're all on the same page and reassure
Yeah.
the patient, whatever, until they get to know you.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's something that I love about this job and about this profession, and just, yeah, I mean, because when I'm there, you're seeing patients, I'm seeing patients, so it's just easy for us to be like, oh, hey, can you look at this patient, can you look at this lab result, like tell me what you think. And it's definitely a relationship that we have built in collaboration and things like that, because I know some people are like, I feel like, so like I can't ask questions and I can't talk, in my job as a PA. But here in this office, it's like that's so encouraged, because four or two sets of eyes are always better than one set of eyes. So it's almost like, why wouldn't I like double check with you? Like, okay, this is my thought process. Do you have any other suggestions? Do you have any other thoughts? And I think that will comfort patients to know that, especially as I grow into the practice and grow into more knowledge about all of these things. And, just for people to know that I do like consult with you if I have any questions, if patients have questions that I can't answer, my first go-to is, oh, let's ask Dr. Lenzkes. Like, let's see if he's ever seen this before. Let's see if he's ever, dealt with this lab result.
And
So
then
I
we
think,
go to
yeah,
Mary. Then we go to
yeah,
Mary
yeah,
if it's all the crazy stuff. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
Supplements.
it's great to have that collaboration
Yeah.
and be able to say, okay, let's bounce this off each other and not be so stressed and busy all the time.
Right,
And,
right.
and I realized for myself, I can't be everywhere at one time. And so sometimes, I'll
Hmm.
be seeing patients, someone has an urgent need and you can take care of it. And that takes a lot of pressure off of me too, because
Yeah.
the reality is with direct primary care, we want to take care of that patient as quickly as we can. So I'm not going to wait
Hmm.
till 5 o'clock in the afternoon and call you about, a headache
Right,
you've had all day.
right,
We can,
right.
one of us can jump in and take care of that and spread
Yeah.
the wealth a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. I think it's a perfect setup, and just the whole office staff. Nicole is great because she like makes people feel so welcomed and not nervous, coming off, and then we don't see like crazy blood pressures. But it's all
Yeah, I mean, and that's it. Like we see that the effect of stress, someone comes in really stressed, their blood pressure is going to be high. They sit here and
right.
relax and get used to the environment here. And Mary makes it like a spa. It's kind of
Yeah,
it's
I know.
great. It's kind of crazy coming in here. It's not that sterile feeling, I come in, I
Yeah,
feel like peace. I don't feel like crazy. Oh no,
yeah,
today's gonna be hectic. Who's gonna yell at me today? And it's
yeah,
nice to have patients who are like-minded that appreciate medicine, right? They're
yeah,
they're they're paying to see us, right? So we
yeah.
have to, it has to be a good experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel like it is such a difference when people are investing in their health. And I'm not talking about financial investing, but just time and effort, because changing your metabolic health takes so much effort. I mean, I'm learning this and just in my own day-to-day life and my own diet and exercise and everything. And it takes a lot of mindset and mental strength and things like that. And so that's what I see in these patients. Like, they're like, yeah, I mean, I was out with all my friends last night and I like was super proud of myself. And that's like so cool to hear, that they are like not beating themselves down, but they are saying, wow, look at what I did. I'm so excited to tell you. Like, look at my CGM. It's so flat, things like that. So I think it's so cool to have patients so invested because we're so invested. And so it's a perfect match to see, how that helps the patient in the end. So it's
Yeah, and
really cool.
supporting him through it, say, okay, like, so many
Mhm.
times, and that's, those of us struggling with obesity and diabetes and maybe depression, anxiety, all those things. I
Yeah.
see there's a worldview that they have. Like they'll do great for two
Mm.
weeks, and one day on Wednesday they go to a birthday party and cake, and they were like, I blew it so bad since. I'm like, look at all the other days you did. You did you have 13 out of 14 days you did perfect. You had
Yeah.
one day, one
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Forget it. Let's move on. Like it's not gonna, it didn't ruin everything you did for the last,
Right.
2 weeks just because of one
Right.
day. But what did you learn from that? What would you
Yeah.
do next time in that situation? Like, oh, I would have done this. I'll bring, keto chow or health code, or I'll do this, or I'll make my own dessert, or I'll bring the appetizers so I don't have to eat chips and crackers. And so there's
Right.
so
Right.
much that we can do to help and support.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think it's so important to just make sure that the patients feel supported. Because I'm sure you've been to a doctor's office where you haven't feel supported, and I've been to a appointment where I didn't feel supported and heard, and it's not a great feeling. You walk away and you're like, wow, wasted time, but also energy and a lot of other resources. So I think that's a really important thing for
Yeah, I see
patients
that.
to
I
hear.
do see that all the time where people say, you know what? I saw, like, can you explain this to me? I saw my cardiologist. They gave me 3 minutes and they're like,
Yeah.
here, take this pill. You need it for this. And they walk out and they're like, what am I doing?
Why?
Why do I need this? What's going on? So yeah, it's
Yeah.
really a frustrating thing for people because again, us docs are very good at talking, but not very good at listening. So I think it's something crazy. Like it's like before we interrupt a patient, it's like less than a minute or something. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
the stats on that, but
I
I
think,
remember reading and going, wow, that's crazy.
yeah, I think it's like 15 seconds.
Oh, maybe it's 15 seconds. Yeah. 15
I
seconds,
don't
the
quote me
patient's
on
trying
it,
to
but
tell you that.
yeah.
And then the doctor's like, oh, here's what we're gonna do. It's like,
Hmm. Hmm.
because the doctor's thinking, and I trust because I know I did it for 18 years, was like, okay, I gotta hurry. I got 15 people waiting. So
Hmm.
I don't have time. Like, let's get on with it. Like,
Yeah.
got one of my patients. Yeah, the doctor told her, I just talked to her and she said she went to the specialist and he said,
Yeah.
look, don't embellish on the story. Just tell me the pinpoint facts and like like I don't have time to hear about your husband and what's happening with him. Like let's
Right.
talk about your ulcer. Right.
Right. Right.
Well, the reason I have the ulcer is because my husband has all these issues going on, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. And definitely, I think there's a lot of disconnect with just a patient learning and like myself and how you go about learning about your condition or your body or your wherever you're at in your health journey, learning about that, because I feel like there's a disconnect, like you're saying, with just explaining how the body works. Like someone gets a diagnosis of diabetes, do they actually know what's going on, or do they know like, oh, you can never eat sugar again, here's these pills? And I feel like that's kind of where the education stops with it. But then once you're educated on it and you like know the process of it, then it empowers you to be like, okay, well, maybe I can fix this. Maybe I can help this. Maybe I can optimize it. All that stuff is so amazing to me because I have seen just the lack of that throughout school, throughout my other jobs, throughout my rotations, and how patients don't know why they're taking medications so many times. When I was an MA, before I went to PA school, okay, so I need to, reconcile your medications. Like, can you tell me why you're taking all of these? I don't know. My doctor just put me on them. I have
That
no
is
idea.
so common. That is so common. And I
Yeah.
see it all the time. Like I have no idea why I'm on this pill. I'm like, that's for the side effect of this pill and you don't need it anymore, and
Yeah.
the other thing that's
Yeah.
so amazing along those lines of, I just met with a lady, she hadn't had labs done in 5 years. She goes, oh, I know I probably might have diabetes. Well, we
Mm.
get her A1C back, it's 11.1,
Oh
right,
my
and her
God.
insulin's like 37, so this is metabolically sick, and
Yeah.
she's totally stressed out. And I go, look, we
Mm.
got this. Like this is
Hmm.
going to be an easy fix for us. We just got to change
Yeah.
these lifestyle, and you got to take it serious. And
Yeah.
she's killing it. I'm looking at her sugars. Like I looked at him last night. I was like, wow, she's crushing it.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
that, when you see that A1C go from 11.1 and we know that's a death sentence down to 5.2,
Yeah.
5.7, you go, wow, this is
Yeah.
incredible. It's
Yeah.
incredible when people get educated. And that was the other thing is another lady of
Hmm.
mine came in and she's a super sweet train wreck because she's had uncontrolled diabetes for 25 years. Now
Mm,
she's on peritoneal dialysis. She's going
mm,
blind. She's got all these things. And when I was explaining to her the physiology of what was happening in her body,
hmm,
she goes, I am so pissed right now
mm.
because no one's ever talked to me about this. They just said,
Yeah,
eat whatever you want and we'll give you more insulin.
right,
Right? No
right,
one ever said, we got to make some changes. How's your stress level?
right.
How's your sleep? What are you doing? What do you do for fun? And so it's
Mhm.
amazing that these things are never in 25 years, no one's addressed that. How's that
Yeah,
happen?
yeah, yeah. I think it's crazy. And we learn about the body, we learn about these mechanisms. So why aren't we teaching them to patients? It's not like rocket science to explain how a pancreas works. I mean, to a point to just give somebody a knowledge on diabetes. So I feel like there's such a need for that. And that's something that I definitely want to be held accountable for through my patients to make sure that I educate them on this is my thought process on why, you know, I want to order these labs, or if I choose to put you on some medication, or if I want to change your lifestyle, things like that. Because I think it just gives people reason to do things. And then they see results. And then I think it's so cool when they are like, wow, I feel so much better. I want to tell everybody. And then they start making an impact. So it's not even, it goes so beyond the office in that aspect because I mean, I feel like so many of our patients are friends of friends that have just been like, I have felt so better, so much better. And I like it's a crime to not tell people about it and say that there's other options out there and more knowledge on things like diabetes and metabolic health and hormones and things like that.
Man, it is amazing. Well, I'll ask you. I haven't asked you this before, but how many times did you see an insulin check accept in my office in all your rotations?
Zero.
Yeah, zero times. In 18 years
Zero.
of practice, I saw zero insulin levels, zero in
Mhm.
18
Mhm.
years. And then I started looking at it going, oh my gosh, like all these people with heart disease, strokes, and all that, they all have
Yeah.
high insulin levels. And that was through Ivor Cummins and a few other, Jason Fung. Jason
Yeah.
is an amazing person. And
Yeah.
when I first started learning about this stuff, he just called me, let's talk. I'll explain it to you.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this guy's pretty legit.
Yeah.
And obviously he's legit in all that he's done, but he taught me so much about insulin resistance and how that insulin
Mhm.
goes higher and higher and higher. And
Yeah.
when I see that insulin, it's the scariest thing when I see it super high go. But it's the scariest thing, but it
Mhm.
gives me reassurance because I know you're making insulin.
Yeah.
Now we got to make you more sensitive to that insulin and we got to bring that number down. And we could bring it
Yeah.
down in a few days,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's amazing. As that
Right.
insulin comes down, you're farther and farther away from getting diabetes. And so we just have to intervene and
Mhm.
get people taken care of, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A funny story about insulin, just in general. We had a lecture sometime, and it was a endocrinologist. I think it was a PA endocrinologist or a PA in endocrinology, and he talked about insulin. He was talking about the timeline of how insulin goes up, before you even know it, before you see the other effects of it and or A1C effect of it and things like that. And he had mentioned just in passing how it's kind of like a 10-year mark. Like in 10 years, this is where you're going to be with insulin. And I know like you've taught me that before. And so at the end of the presentation, I asked him, I was like, so why aren't we using insulin as a preventative or a marker to just like a lipid panel? We all get lipid panels, checked to see where we're at. So like, why aren't we using insulin as a preventative tool? And he just goes, well, the minute a person walks in the room, I can tell about their insulin. I know where they're at, so I don't need to test it. And I was like, I just would never, like, as a patient, knowing that, I would never feel comfortable with that answer because
Because it's the wrong answer
you
because I
can't see
can't tell.
inside my body.
I
Yeah.
can I can guess. Well, if I can see your triglycerides and your HDL, 99% of the time I can tell. But this lady who had an A1C of 11.1, her
Yeah.
triglycerides were totally normal. I've never said, I go, you're a freak of nature. I don't know why. I mean, like something's
Yeah.
going on. I don't know why your triglycerides aren't elevated because they should be, but they're
Yeah.
not. So
Right, right,
maybe
right.
she just hasn't got to that point yet. Maybe she still has some visceral fat she can stick stuff in. But the reason
Mm-hmm.
her sugars were so high is, and it
Mm-hmm.
could be acutely her sugar, but But over time, those triglycerides everything's gonna get metabolically sicker.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes if we get them on the Sika, we could estimate like, and I'll tell you, the reason the person's wrong is I can tell you for a fact, and you've seen patients with me that are 400 pounds, but their insulin's normal, their A1C
Yeah.
is normal, their lipids are normal because
Mm-hmm.
they could keep shoving that sugar into their fat cells and they have a ton of fat cells to fill up. And other people
Yeah.
can get diabetes when they weigh 140 pounds, right?
Yeah.
150 pounds. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, you can't tell. You can think you could tell, but you cannot tell because I'm surprised
Right.
too sometimes and go, wow, their insulin's totally normal. Or,
Yeah.
uh-oh, and the other thing is that you can't tell. And this is why insulin is so important to check is
Yeah.
that if someone has a high A1C, like if my lady had an A1C of that one with 11.1, which is a
Mm-hmm.
disaster waiting to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
From what we know,
Mm-hmm.
if her insulin's really low, I feel really bad about that because your body should be cranking the insulin trying to bring that sugar down. If it's not,
Mm-hmm.
there's a problem with your pancreas and you may be getting type 1 diabetes or type 1.5. And
Mm-hmm.
so these kind of things, when you say, oh, if your insulin's really high and your A1C is high, I feel good about that because we could fix that problem pretty
Mm-hmm.
easily. But either way, the answer is the same as making you as sensitive to insulin as you can.
Yeah.
Because if you don't make that much, you gotta make make that insulin do as much work as it can and
Yeah.
not be insulin resistant and not make insulin. That's a horrible, and that's what they're doing to type ones now. They're making them
Mm-hmm.
insulin resistant by cranking up the insulin to get rid of the sugar they're giving them all day long. And you go, well,
Right.
that doesn't
Right.
make very much sense because then it's like you need
Yeah.
more and more alcohol to get drunk because you
Yeah.
drink all so much every day. So let's cut the alcohol out and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And it makes perfect sense, and I don't know why it's not more just a common modality now because it just makes perfect sense to me. And I think it is a lot to be said, and this goes back to just how you can't predict people's numbers because there's so much individuality about somebody. It's like you could have somebody process like their system processes things completely opposite, but they're the same height, the same weight, the same make, everything like that. But then they could process things completely different and have the most opposite lab panel. And so I think that's again where like you can't put a patient in a box. And I feel like our practice and you have taught me so well, like to look out for that and to not just say, oh, your A1C is this level. Like, I know your insulin, I know your lipids. Like, we'll just put you on, metformin and call it a day. But it's just like advancing that picture and finding that root cause of why the A1C is elevated.
Yeah, and that's the thing with insulin too. I think that's one thing
Mm-hmm.
when I first saw the studies years ago, I thought that's weird. Why would they do? They were talking about using metformin for fibromyalgia, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would it's a diabetes drug? It's not a fibromyalgia drug. But what it
Mm-hmm.
does is makes you more insulin sensitive. So when you lower the insulin, fibromyalgia starts feeling better,
Mm-hmm.
and inflammation starts getting better. And so people like there's so much there it's the marker. It's not necessarily like high triglycerides. The triglycerides themselves are not necessarily the problem. It's a marker that you're insulin resistant,
Mm-hmm.
and that you're metabolically sick. So if we
Yeah.
bring those triglycerides down, people all of a sudden their mood gets better or their joints don't hurt anymore. I was like, that's
Yeah.
weird. Because I always wonder that now. Even talking to this pain specialist yesterday, I was like,
Right.
how many people do you think that you're treating for all this chronic pain? You're shooting them with anti-inflammatories because they're inflamed all the time. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
they change their lifestyle and stress and diet and sleep, don't you think that's going to help what you're doing? They go, yeah, that's kind of a good. Like they never considered that as part of the equation. It's
Wow.
amazing to me that over all these years, no one considers that,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
very few do. The good ones do. The good ones get it.
Yeah.
But this guy was
Yeah.
like, "Can I call you later this week and we could talk?" I'll go, "I'd love to. Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah.
Anything I can do to
Yeah.
help." Because and I told him I've had people scheduled for total knee replacements. They change their lifestyle and all of a sudden their knee doesn't hurt anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
saved them from surgery, right?
Yeah.
And also we can help people be the best surgical candidate if they lose 30 pounds or 50 pounds before surgery.
Right.
They're going to be a better, less likely to get infected and have
Yeah.
problems.
Better outcomes.
So
Yeah.
Leah, what dragged you into PA? When did you make a decision? When did you go, huh? Did you always think like as a kid that's what you wanted to do, or what was your
Yeah.
track like
Uh,
to get here?
yeah. So a little untraditional, I will say that. I wasn't the kid that was like, I'm gonna be a doctor forever, grew up and my dad was a fireman, so and paramedic, and so I always heard medical stories from him. Like that was just something we bonded over throughout growing up, and because my sister wasn't super into all of that. side of things, the blood and everything. But it always intrigued me. And so my dad and I always, he told me stories. And so that was always super cool to me. But I also always grew up with animals. And so I was like, oh, what better way? I'll go to vet school, a little bit of both. And that was kind of my track for a while, and got my undergrad degree in pre-vet and was on track to go to vet school. And always liked both sides of medicine. I was just like, why not do animals, because I like animals, and that was kind of my mindset. But then I shifted dramatically. I went to Honduras for a medical missions trip, and and I just like really fell in love with the idea of meeting people and interacting with people. And I think it was just very clear to me after that track, or after that trip, that this was something I wanted to pursue much more. And not that I didn't love vet medicine, like all my friends are now vets and I went the opposite route, but it's really cool because I still love that, but I just found that this fit my personality and my goals in life like a glove. And I was like, this is like an aha moment that just made so much sense to me. So I got back from that trip and I was like, I need to figure out how I can apply. And then I learned about the PA profession just through other friends that were applying and things like that. So, and I again was like, this is the perfect fit. Like we talked about how I kind of have always grown up with a team aspect. And so I was able to just add some classes in that I needed to, because luckily the pre-vet and pre-med are kind of the same track and same classes. So, and a lot of times pre-med degrees will fit the criteria for PA school. And so applied to PA schools all over the country, ended up coming out to California for PA school, and then landed in San Diego because my husband is in PA school in San Diego as well. And we really love this area and love the ocean and the weather. And so that's kind of why I ended up down here and why I chose PA. It was just a shift of mindset, and not good or bad for vet medicine or vet profession, but just kind of leading me. I was led in a different direction, so I had to go with it.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I think anyone who's kid or if you're looking to go into medicine, do volunteer on a medical mission trip,
Yeah, yeah,
because it's life changing. You go there and go,
yeah,
wow, these are decent people. Like, and that's funny because for me, I volunteered at, in Mexico doing this little clinic, and I wasn't thinking
yeah,
about going to medicine. Then I saw the doctors, and they were all they were USC medical students, and they were just so cool. And I'm like, these
yeah.
are cool people. They're not like these stuffy, like what you picture,
Right,
But I
right.
think it's a small percentage of doctors who actually do that kind of work, and you're gonna
Yeah,
connect with people who go, look, I just want to help people. I love medicine. I love helping people,
yeah,
because you're not making money going on mission trips. You're spending money going on mission
yeah.
trips. So it tells you what their
Right.
motivation is a lot of times. So
Yeah,
trying to get a dentist down there is almost impossible, because they're like, okay, I'm going to lose X number of dollars in a week off my practice, right? And
yeah.
I'm,
Right,
my
right.
patients are going to. There's a lot of responsibility that we have. So
Mhm.
it is definitely, you're going to see a different breed of doctors that do that kind of work.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it was, if anything, even if you're not a medical professional, we had so many volunteers and people to go down there and do it. So I would say like it's just a 10 out of 10 experience for everybody involved. And the story, I remember this one lady I was helping in our we had a little eye station. So they would come in and get their eyes checked, and we would try and match them with glasses that a doctor had donated. And these people, they if they can't see, they don't just get glasses as a child. They go their whole life without being able to see clear or straight or whatever. And that was like one of the moments that I was like, this is so amazing. It's like we tested her eye, we did an eye exam, figured out her glasses prescription. She picked out a pair of glasses. Like she would never think that she could pick out a pair of glasses. And so she put them on and she just started crying because she was probably 70 years old or so, had never been able to see clearly in her life. And so it was just so cool. And that, like, that was just in a small town. Nobody's going to read about it. Nobody's going to hear about it, unless the story gets told. But it was so impactful for everybody around. And I think that was like such a cool moment for me that it
Yeah,
wasn't.
that I've had that experience. It's amazing to see someone who
Yeah.
couldn't read, like couldn't read, couldn't do the forms, and you give them some reading glass and they start crying. A grown man starts crying,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
had this. I had a one where the mom was talking about her son, saying he's dumb, he doesn't do well in school, he doesn't
Mm.
motivate, and all this stuff. And it turns out the kid couldn't read because I asked him like, "What's going on?" Because when I
Wow.
start reading, I love to read, but I get a headache and I can't see it, and my eyes hurt. And I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
let's." So we grabbed these $2 glasses. It's a Marty, my translator, and I talk about it a lot. And $2 glasses put on the kid. The first one,
Yeah.
he's like, no. Second one, he's like, and he sat there in the clinic and read to all the kids'
Oh
stories. He
my
read them
gosh.
stories all day long in the clinic.
Yeah.
And you go, wow, that is
Yeah.
amazing what we can do. Just
Yeah.
$2. Someone
Right.
donated them
Right.
from they were sitting on their nightstand somewhere and they go, here you
Hmm.
go, doc,
Hmm.
you can have these, and like the impact they have on this kid's life, right?
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, all that, and I had another experience when I was in Guatemala last time, and this kid went in, he's super good looking kid, comes in 12 years old, and
Hmm.
I start talking to him, he's just staring at me, not responding. And I look at
Hmm.
his mom in Spanish, I go, does he not talk? And she
Hmm.
goes, yeah, he won't talk to you. And I go, why not? Is he scared of doctors? He said, no, he can't hear. And I was like, oh, what about sign language? What's that? You know what I mean? Just because
Right.
you're in a small town, they don't have, it's like, oh my gosh, this poor
Right.
kid's 12 years old, he can never communicate with people, and
Wow.
go, wow, like what you're saying, when you're out there in those remote areas. So people appreciate the medical care we have here. It may not be perfect, but man, it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places where people just don't have access to anything, to
Yeah.
Tylenol. They can't get anything.
Right. 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 No, I mean, yeah, it was so, I mean, I could like talk about it for hours. That trip and just patients I met and stories and yeah, yeah.
So
But
now that you're a big PA here and all that stuff, what's your favorite stuff to treat right now? What do you really get satisfaction out of?
yeah, I think right. I mean, for me, for sure, I love hormones and how they connect with everything within the body. And that being said, thyroid and women's health and all of that, because I've been on my own personal journey with figuring out hormones and you know, should I be feeling this way? And this isn't normal. Why is this happening? Things like that. So I'm really excited, and I think that is one of my favorite things to learn about and to see in patients and just to dive deeper in and treat and see how many people we can get feeling normal and not, the normal that is, you know, said to be normal, but is not how you should be feeling.
Yeah, and that was the thing of this discussion I had last night too. It was like, oh, once you get over 60, it's just normal to be tired all the time and fatigued and gain weight
Right.
and lose muscle
Right.
mass. I'm like,
Right.
no, it's not normal. It's not
No. Yeah.
normal. It's what
Yeah.
we're doing. It may be considered normal because everyone's doing that now, but that's not
But
normal.
that's, yeah.
We have people like
Yeah.
Ben Bikikio in his mid 70s who can lift more weights than like five guys, and
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think being consistent and, having a good attitude and laughing and enjoying life and not being stressed all the time, all those things play a role in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so again, it does go back to this whole lifestyle thing and
Yeah.
figure out what really matters in life. Now
Yeah.
that we're talking about that, by the way, Leah, I have to
Yeah.
ask you, what's life's best medicine for you, since this is the Life's Best Medicine podcast?
Yeah. I truly think that community helps me so much. Like that is what I thrive with, is being around good people. If I if I'm like having a rough day or whatever, I will just go to my husband like let's go for a walk. Let's talk. Let's like just not even talk about what the bad day was about, but talk about other things. Like let's just bring back the good in a bad situation or talk about the bad and figure it out. So I feel like that has been super huge in my life when I'm stressed, when school was hard, when I was away from family, things like that, to have people that you can rely on and that will be honest with you, but then will also like support you and listen to you and things like that. So I think that's some of life's best medicine, is just having people in your life that you can count on 100%.
Yeah, that's a huge thing, and it is profound because for me, I always believed it's important to have community support, social support,
Yeah.
somebody you could bounce stuff off. But I've looked at the studies. Rosetto,
Mm,
Pennsylvania, got me started. I'm looking like these guys weren't dying of heart attacks and strokes, but their cholesterol was just as high as everywhere else. They're smoking.
mm.
Nothing was different except they had community.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
people forget, like especially guys, we try to do it on our own and say, oh, I
Yeah.
don't need friends. I can, all I need is my family. But then when things
Right.
are going wrong in your family, who do you go to then?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that's so critical. I think having a good support system and people that you could bounce things off. And that's why,
Yeah.
we're so happy to have you here because it helps because we need
Yeah. Yeah.
patients who are hurting don't need someone who doesn't care. Like that's the
Right.
biggest thing. When I
Right.
saw you here, I go, you care about patients, you do the right things, you're honest and go, hey, look, I don't understand this yet. Let me look into it. I'll get back to you tomorrow or I'll call you
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah.
Those kind of things are really it's really critical because there's a lot of arrogance in medicine and a lot of people will, they have too much pride to say, I don't know. I'm not sure on
Mm-hmm.
this. I've never seen this before,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
one of the huge reasons we wanted to bring you in. And then also because you're focused on hormones and the
Mm-hmm.
metabolic health because we've tried before to have someone in that does understand those things and it gives a
Mm-hmm.
mixed message to the patient. So having a
Right.
team
Right.
where we're all on the same page and going, okay, here's what's working, here's what's not
Yeah.
working. Let's shift gears. And then also to be able
Yeah.
to adjust on the fly and say, for this person, okay, carnivore diet's not working. Let's figure
Mm-hmm.
out like how to get them on, keto, or let's try, let's cut out some of the fat. Let's go up on the protein and
Yeah.
really being able to adjust and say, okay, something's not right. Let's fix it. Let's work
Yeah.
together on it.
Right. Right. Right.
And so it's amazing having you. And I think that's
Yeah.
that's great medicine. And anyone listening, like if you don't have community, get community. I'm telling you, there's study after
Yeah.
study after study showing that. Like if you're
Yeah.
over 65 and you just go to choir practice once a week, you do better than people who don't. Just
Yeah.
having that social connection somewhere. And that's
Yeah.
why, we need each other. Even if people are trafficked to us, there's still other people that are trying to get to where they're going and we don't know everyone's stories. And that's one thing
Mm-hmm.
I've learned is like, some people are difficult and then you start talking to them and realize, oh, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I know why you're difficult because everyone's treating you like garbage your entire life and you've never had support and you're in a bad
Yeah.
relationship and you're struggling at work and you don't have
Yeah.
any peace in your life and you don't have anything that you do that's fun. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
great medicine going out for a walk with your husband and just talking about other stuff. What's good?
Yeah.
What's good in the
Right.
world?
Right.
Because we
Right.
could all
Yeah.
get beaten down.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so easy to talk about what's going wrong, but sometimes you're like, let's talk about what's going right too. And because that can shift mindset like crazy as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. It's
Awesome
really
stuff.
cool.
Well, everyone, now you know Leah, my new
Yeah.
addition here. Now you know who she is. And I just wanted to bring you on. I had to drag her on because she's kind of quiet and shy and kind
Oh,
and
yeah. I
nice and
don't
all
like to
that.
talk.
So here she is. And so yeah, she's a great addition to our team at San Diego Metabolic Health. And Mary's here and we just have a great team. Nicole, my medical assistant, our medical assistant, is just very kind and decent. So, I think
Yeah.
that's it. And I'm hoping other doctors and practices will pair up with physician
Yeah.
assistants and having, because we can't do it all, and I think
Yeah.
that's the
Right.
thing
Right.
is and I'll say this as a doc, I'm seeing stuff on my Twitter feed every day from the American Medical Association saying, yeah, mid-levels are a bad thing. It's hurting medicine, it's going to kill people. And
Mm.
it's really that's I mean, the problem is, look, we have a shortage of doctors already.
Mm-hmm.
Number two suicide rate in the US besides returning soldiers with PTSD are doctors
Mm.
and medical professionals. You go, we got a
Mm.
problem. We got to fix
Yeah.
that. So if we can all
Yeah.
support each other and lift each other up and use each other in a way that's beneficial to the patient and
Yeah.
use our skill sets, man, we have to multiply because we have too many sick people
Yeah.
until we can get people healthier and get them on the right track. And then we
Yeah.
won't need as many physicians and all of us and we can all go, work half days and we're okay with that if
Yeah.
we get people
Right. Right.
healthy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's about remembering we all have the same goal, right? Just to help people and have people just happy with their lives. Mm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's really important to kind of keep at the center of things.
So everyone, there's a lot of wisdom here. Leah's here to serve you and be kind to yourself, be kind to others.
Yeah,
If you have
so
community
good.
and you laugh and you have fun and you go lawn bowling or whatever you want to do, collect rocks, then listen to the birds, whatever floats your boat, do that
Yeah,
because you're going to see us a lot less.
yeah. Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, just the stress levels and everything just goes down. And I think it's about making it a priority. Some days you're like, oh, do we really want to go watch it? Like the other night, this is just a quick example. My husband and I, we try and make it a goal to at least like a couple days of the week to make it out to the ocean and watch the sunset. That's just something that we like to do together. And the other night it was like a long day, late dinner, and we were like, oh, if we leave now we can make it, but like, oh, then we gotta, drive there. Maybe we'll just like go for a walk here or whatever. But we were like, no, like let's go. We made this a plan. We love to do it. And I kid you not, it was one of the best sunsets we've ever seen. And it was just one of those moments that we were so close to just throwing in the towel and just not doing it. But then it ended up being like this amazing, gorgeous night. And yeah, so it's just kind of like keeping those priorities on top.
Yeah,
But
because you could have worked a couple extra hours that night, right? And
yeah,
being able to just breathe and relax and do that, that's
yeah,
going to be more medicine than, being more
yeah,
efficient and working harder. And so
right,
yeah, I think
right.
that's a huge lesson for a lot of us. And you're still young, so it's smart you're starting out early knowing this stuff, because that it
Yes.
will benefit you in life. I think so many
Mm-hmm.
of us get caught up in the rat race, and you know, we have
Mm-hmm.
to have the bigger car, bigger house, and all this stuff, and you
Yeah,
realize, okay, you have that, but you never saw the sunset once, or you never went
yeah,
for a walk, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
No, for
everyone,
sure.
this is good medicine here. Leah, welcome. So happy to have you. Thanks for
Thank
joining me
you.
today.
Thank
Early in the
you. Thank you for
morning,
having me.
I made her wake up early because of our schedules, and we still survived it.
Yeah, no, all good. Now we have the rest of the day.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We greatly appreciate your support. We would greatly appreciate a positive thumbs up on all of the platforms like iTunes and Spotify or wherever you're listening. And we just thank you for our Patreon supporters. We greatly appreciate your help in getting this message out. We think there's a lot of important information, and hopefully this helps you. Have a great day, and thank you for listening, and thank you for your support.